All right, so we've won the 12-day war. We've also won the war against regime change, and now the war is about the big, beautiful bill. Where do we stand?
Well, we got very unfortunate news today that there are certain wins for the America First movement that were hard fought by the Trump administration and the House to get into this legislation that will not be considered by the full Senate if they get to the bill because of something called the Byrd rule. So I'm gonna take you into the weeds here, but in order for legislation to only need the 50 votes of 50 Republicans plus the vice president, the Byrd rule says that it is only fiscal policy matters that can be considered. You can't go outside of something that deals with the budget. That is the sandbox you get to play in. And so within that, the House of Representatives thought, well, one of the big drivers of costs in this country is health care that we're giving to illegal immigrants through the Medicaid program. And so if we put a limitation on that in the bill, it fits within the sandbox and is good policy, delivers on a promise we made to people. We got word today that that is being taken out of the legislation by the Senate parliamentarian. Secondarily, there was legislation to stop federal funding for these mutilations on children in the name of like sex change surgeries. And that also has been taken out of the bill, the prohibition against that removed by the Senate parliamentarian. And know this, the game you're watching is not the game that's being played. This is a fiction. This is a construct. There are certain senators who are beholden to the hospital industrial complex, and they want to see those federal dollars still move to the hospitals where the executives make donations to their campaign that maybe, are very woven into the political establishment. And they don't want the blame for that. And so they've set up this system where the Senate parliamentarian takes the blame. And no one voted against her. We did not go walk the streets in Pennsylvania. We did not go beat out every vote with Turning Point in Arizona. We didn't do all the work to get Georgia back on the right track with election integrity just so that the Senate parliamentarian, some lady nobody voted for against, can tell us that we still have to pay for sex change operations for children and healthcare for illegal aliens. This has to be called out. Senate Leader John Thune has a responsibility to get these provisions in the bill or fire the Senate parliamentarian.
Wow. I want to get Kenny Cody in here. Kenny, you've written about the MAGA agenda, the America First agenda. Walk us through how important all of these line items that Matt Gaetz here is talking about.
I mean, one of the most important things that Congressman Gaetz just talked about is this parliamentarian has been there for a long time, and she was appointed by a Democrat. When Harry Lee was the Senate Majority Leader, she was appointed, and she is now trying to stop the America First agenda. Everything that Trump campaigned on during the 2024 presidential election was to wrap all of his main agenda points up, at least get funding for them and get support through senators through one big, beautiful bill. This has been known for months. It's been known basically a year in advance, and now for a government bureaucrat that was appointed in 2012 under a Democratic majority leader now to all of a sudden be stopping the GOP agenda, the GOP caucus, and President Trump himself from getting the exact policy points that he wanted in one bill all wrapped up to vote on is ridiculous. And we should never be overran by a government bureaucrat that has nothing to do with the GOP caucus. I think she's related to several Democratic operatives. She has connections to Democratic operatives. She is a Democratic operative herself, being a bureaucrat appointed by a Democrat. And all these things need to be countered on. With deportations, with illegal immigrations, with fair trade deals, all of these things that are going to be included in this piece of legislation. We have to ensure that a government bureaucrat that has nothing to do with the GOP caucus, nothing to do with Republicans or conservatives, is not the sole person to block this bill. And Senator Leader John Thune needs to step up and needs to ask her to resign, which has already been called on by people like Tommy Tuberville and Ted Budd. And more Republican senators need to step up and ensure that she is not the blockade that prevents this legislation from passing.